Okay, hello. Okay, this is the last chapter 18. A rich harvest. Friends drew close to where when Manly died and Rose arrived from Danbury for the funeral. Mansfield had lost one of the oldest pioneers, and Manly was missed. Breeders all over America mourned along with Laura when the news of Amanda Wilder's death spread. Laura bravely bore the loss of her husband of 64 years. It was quite lonely here now. She wrote a friend. She was weary after the long weeks of nursing Manly, and she was uncertain about what to do next. Friends urged Laura to move into town or invite someone to live with her at Rocky Ridge. Laura said that she was no timid about living alone, and her loneliness for Manly would be the same in Meadowsville or with someone in the house. She decided to stay on Rocky Ridge. Laura was surrounded by kind friends and neighbors during her years alone. Netta and Silas visited her often and invited her to their house. The Elmores, who lived in Bruce Proc's old house across the road, dropped in to visit, and the Jones family, who lived close by, became Laura's faithful companion. The two Jones boys, Rose Gould and Sheldon, stopped to see Laura nearly every day on their way home for school. They brought her mail, helped to chores around the house, and became her special friends. It pleased Laura to know that the little house books were read at bedtime to Rose, Cora, and Sheldon, but the happy could listen to those stories from Laura herself. Often they gathered around Laura with her cousins, the shorter boys, and listened to her tell all of her days in the woods and on the prairies in the spring following Manly's death. Under the library on May 12, 1950, Pomona, California, dedicated the children's department of its library as Laura Ingalls Wilder's room. Laura's gift to newly established room was the original pencil manuscript of Little Town on the Prairie, and the annual celebration of Laura's February 7th birthday was started in Panama. It figured gingerbread made from Laura's recipe in the filter to play the songs Paula had played. Laura's birthday was always bought stacks of greetings to her. In February 1951, more than 1,000 cards and gifts arrived at Rocky Ridge for weeks. She was busy reading and responding to the overflow of affection for her mom. The birthday wishes was a cablegram of congratulations from the General Dallas MacArthur. Later in 1951, Minnesota made plans to honor Laura by naming the local library for her. She worked hard to establish the country library in Minnesota, and her books were an important part of the library collection, so the honor was deserved. On September 28, 1951, the dedication of the Laura Ingalls Wilder Library was held. Laura was so modest that people doubt would attend to the library dedication. Although she has received many honors, they always embarrassed her, but because she did not want to disappoint her friends who had arranged the tribute for the first time, Laura was present at a ceremony in her honor. When she entered the high school auditorium, the Minnesota school children sang her a song of greeting, and the band played. Standing behind huge baskets of flowers on the stage, Laura told a group of children children, librarians, teachers, and townspeople how proud she was of the library and friendship of her hometown. "I can always say I thank you all," she exclaimed. "From my heart, I thank you." People at the library dedication always remembered how beautiful Laura looked that day and how jolly and friendly she was. The Springfield paper sent a reporter to write about the event. And an article titled "Mansfield Honors Great Lady," Laura was described as a striking, charming little woman. Her white hair was piled high, the paper said, and held in place by a gold comb that matched her large earrings. She wore a beautiful, very dark velvet dress at the shoulders, of which a friend pinned a large orchid. It was difficult to believe that she was 84 years old. A Laura Ingalls Wilder display became established in the new library, and Laura helped to fill it. She presented the library with autographed copies of her books, pictures of guests sent to her foreign countries, and mentions of her girlhood. On her Wednesday visit to town, Laura stopped at the library for her week's readings. She especially enjoyed the mystery stories and westerns, and the librarians always saved her the ones for her. Springfield, the closest big city of Mansfield, has its own chance to honor the author of the Little House books. In the fall of 1952, during Children's Book Week, Laura traveled in Springfield with a friend for an autograph party at the bookstore. She was a small stage at the back of the store and was amazed to see readers stretching out into the street, where gracefully signed books, talking and accepted little presents bought by the boys and girls. In the line waiting to visit with Laura was Carrie Preston, the Springfield Children's librarian. Mrs. Preston had loved Laura and her stories. Many years in the courage of children read the Little House books. She brought a Little House book with her to show Laura. It was a library copy, and so many times that it was read and worn. On the last page, the children had written, "I love you, Laura." Carrie Preston thought as she spied Laura happily chatting with the children. "We all do." Although the loneliness for Manly remained keen, Laura was warmed by the affection of her wide family of readers. Daily, the table next to her rocking chair in the dining room was heaped with the mail. During the summers, a regular stream out of state travelers stopped to see her. Old friends came, some from D.A. Smith, but most of Laura's visitors were strangers to her. They came from Indiana, California, New York, Pennsylvania, indeed from across the country, all hoping to meet the author of Little House books. Laura joked that she thought summer vacations must outdo farmers. At rising early, one family came knocking at the door to meet her. At 7 o'clock in the morning, good-naturedly, Laura entered her colors. Many of the visitors were children, and Laura she could never refuse to meet a child. Local children came to visit too. Some rode their bicycles out to the Rocky Ridge or walked the hills to the Wilder farmhouse. Laura invited them to sit with her on her porch and serve milk and cookies at the kitchen table. Sometimes she plays the old pump organ in the parlor or took them to explore the big farmhouse with her. But the best of all was when Laura told stories. She sat in her rocking chair and the children gathered around her on the cool green dining floor. While Laura loved telling children about the past, she was intensely interested in the present. She read every word of Weekly Mansfield Meyer. When her friends from town came to visit, she always asked what's new in Mansfield. She listened to her radio for the news of the world and read many magazines. She studied politics and economics each Wednesday while she was in town. Laura stopped the Mansfield Meyer office to discuss current events with the editor. Once, when a friend who was Laura's age confided that she was ready to die, Laura quickly replied that she wanted to see what would happen next in the world. The only way to go ahead, she said, besides she wanted to live beyond the age of 90 because Manly had. In the fall of 1953, the Little House books received great fanfare when the newly illustrated editions by Garth Williams were published. Everyone at Harper and Brothers awaited Laura's reaction to the carefully researched drawings. When she saw the first of the released Little House books, Laura was delighted. She immediately sent a telegram to her publishers saying, "Mary, Laura, and their folks living again in these illustrations." The new edition so quickly and renewed interest in Laura's writing. The Long Winter was dramatized for radio broadcast, and there was a television series based on the books. What pleased Laura most was knowledge that more and more boys and girls were reading the Little House books. When writing down the memories of my long ago childhood, she said, "I had no idea they would be so well received. It is a conditional joy to me that they are so well loved." In 1954, Laura celebrated her 87th birthday with 2 parties in Minnesota, and the usual overflow of mail from her fans. There is some at events being my age. Laura told her agent George By, "Everyone is glad I'm 87 years old." News of yet another came to Laura around the time of her birthday. The American Little Library Association sent her a telegram announcing the creation of Laura Ingalls Wilder Reward. The reward and medal was to pay tribute to the authors. To the authors who have written lasting and important books for children. Laura was the first recipient of the gold medal, which was designed by Garth Williams, but Laura could not attend the award ceremonies in Minneapolis. Being 87 years old with a tired heart, I had to avoid excitement, even if pleasant, she explained. As she grew closer to 90, Laura said she was quite well usual, but most be slow and careful to keep the way. She still tended her mail, went to church, and go to town, and cooked, cleaned Rocky Ridge, but she admitted, "There are days when I lie down the most of the time to let my tired old heart race." Rose visit from Danbury, and that is always cheered Laura. Rose flew from New York City to Springfield, where Laura and the Mansfield taxi driver met her with Laura's automobile for the drive her home. Rose usually spends several months in Rocky Ridge with Laura each year. Together they called on friends, did needlework, and marveled at the success of Little House books. Rose was still very busy as a writer, and Laura liked hearing her clattering typewriter again upstairs on the sleeping porch. When Laura was 87, she had her first airplane ride. After one of Rose's visits to Minnesota, Laura returned to Danbury with her by plane. From covered wagons to airplanes, Laura was still ready for adventure. She enjoyed seeing Rose's beautiful house and gardens, but she did not stay in Danbury long. Laura was most comfortable at Rocky Ridge. At home at Rocky Ridge, there was memories there and familiar things. She needed to be home, she said, to feed her cat and the turtles, who appear at the kitchen door for bread and milk. They come out of the hollow to see how I'm doing, Laura explained. Laura stayed alone at Rocky Ridge until Thanksgiving 1956. Rose arrived to visit immediately. She knew that Laura was not well. Laura became so ill that Rose took her to the hospital in Springfield. The doctors discovered that Laura had diabetes. For many weeks, Laura rested in the hospital. Rose stayed nearby. News of Laura's illness spread, and the children in Springfield signed a 12-foot scroll with their names, urging her to get well. Soon, one boy wrote that he would rather read her books than watch television. The scroll was delivered right to Laura's hospital room, and it cheered her. She looked and feels better than she was for years, Rose told friends in December. But Laura was eager to go home when she was well enough. On the day after Christmas, Laura returned to Rocky Ridge with Rose. Laura's 90th birthday approached. In the libraries and classrooms, little houses all over the world, people remember children color and cut and paste, making special greetings for Laura. With their teachers' help, they addressed their cards to Rocky Ridge Farm in Mansfield, Missouri. Laura did live to be 90, dressed as manly. Had 3 days after her birthday. On February 10th, 1957, she died. There was great sadness in Mansfield and in the Mersey and throughout the world when the newspapers and radios reported to the news of Laura's death. My love will be with you always, Laura assured Rose in her last message to her child. Rose knew that many had shared her mother's love. She also knew that Laura's storytelling would only increase that love. This is longest lives are short. Rose said, Our work lasts longer. For Laura Ingalls Wilder, pioneer, wife, farmer, mother, and author, the work she had done would last. The Little House books were the richest harvest. Okay, this is the end of Laura's biography. Okay, the next one will be kind of like a cap with him, but I'll do it because it's fun. Because I'm gonna get rid of it, but it could be it for anybody who wants to listen to it. Okay, see you a little bit later. Bye.